So yeah, just to start with, I suppose, welcome everyone to this Housing Hive session on the 14th of October 2021. Much appreciated you taking the time to join us today. I know everyone's got very busy schedules, certainly on towards the end of the week, so thanks for taking the time out to join us. As usual, great to see some familiar faces and some new faces, some new names as well. I really hope you all enjoy the next 45 minutes or so and hopefully take something away from today as well. Quick note on agenda for today. So those of you who are new here, we'll quickly go through a bit of a quick brief intro on myself, on Proto. If you wouldn't mind staying muted for now, that'd be great, but do feel free to use the chat pane as well. Meg, who's our marketing manager, is on with us today, and she'll be dropping some resources and things into the chat pane, so look out for those. But yeah, as you will have seen, maybe some of you on the promo video on LinkedIn, not to cause alarm to anybody, but yeah, there is less than 100 days after this year, and all of a sudden, which is a bit of a strange thing to say. It seems like we're still, early stages in the year, but no, we are coming to the end. So I suppose preparing for 2022 and looking at ways you can allocate budgets and sort of plan ahead for projects next year, smartly for digital solutions. Now is a great time to do that. So that's what we wanted to run today, really. We've got a few ideas to talk through, really, with just a handful of slides, and then we wanted to sort of have this as fairly informal sort of discussion, really, just to understand what you guys are planning for next year, if that's informed by any particular learnings this year or last year from pandemic outcome learnings or anything like that. Give you a chance, give you a bit of a chance to share ideas with one another, and obviously give our advice as well from a digital agency perspective as well. So that's what we'll be looking to do towards the end. But yeah, thought we'd run through some ideas first, just some things to potentially think about for next year, depending upon obviously where you're up to in your digital transformation journey, I suppose. But yeah, as I say, just to start with very quickly, just an intro to me and Proto. So my name's Jacob. I'm digital strategist at Proto. So basically my job will be to explore digital transformation projects, potential projects with housing associations and other sort of organizations who are looking to drive channel shift, looking to increase or enhance customer experience digitally, or operational efficiencies with the use of digital solutions and things. So I've worked with Proto for 3 years, so I feel like I've learned quite a lot so far about the housing space and deploying digital solutions into your sort of sector. But as a whole, we're a digital transformation specialist agency. We're well established, so we've been around since 98 and been working with housing associations for 16, 17 of those years. Worked with over 50 of them, so loads across the UK. You may or may not see some familiar logos on the screen there. There are a bunch of current Proto customers. And yeah, we're the author of the Shift book, which hopefully some of you have either received in the post or managed to grab one from one of our stands at one of the trade shows that you've been to recently. That's a book that we produced in 2019, which is all focused on our experience and our suggestions, and sort of a bit of a guide really on digital transformation projects in the housing space. So if you haven't got one, feel free to let us know. We can post one out for free. Obviously, we're the hosts of the Housing Hive that you're here listening to today. And this is just something we put together literally around lockdown 1 to help use our position of having loads and loads of connections in the sector to help people sort of share ideas and discuss ways of working and how we might go about navigating the pandemic. And since then, it's grown into a bit of a community, really. So we run these every couple of weeks, between 2 and 4 weeks. Sometimes have guest speakers, sometimes run talks ourselves, and sometimes have like just a bit of an open forum chat like today. We're also the minds behind Franklin. So Franklin was the housing sector's first subscription as a service, software as a service based customer portal. So if you're interested in hearing about that, let us know. And yeah, we run multiple events and also record them all, as you'll see. This one's being recorded today, and put these all together on our video hub online. So this is a chance for you to go back and revisit or watch ones that you may have missed in the past. And that's the Housing Hive. It's our HubSpot webinar, it's our web wrap webinar, and one inbound marketing as well. So if you're interested in any of those things, feel free to head over to there and have a little watch. Or if there's anything from today you want to sort of go back on, feel free. That'll be up there in the next couple of days. But yeah, so onto today's topic, I suppose. So as I say, there's only a handful of slides to talk through today, really. Really wanting to use today to get some opinions and thoughts from everyone who's jumped on today. Hence, just looking to promote you as a panelist so you can speak to us. But yeah, just a few sort of ideas, I suppose, to spark conversations and get things moving. So I suppose to begin with, there's a hell of a lot of talk, isn't there, at the moment and the past couple of years generally really around like the next new normal, across sectors, across workplaces, technology. Generally, what did we learn from last year and this current year so far? And how do we institutionalize what's worked well? For digital transformation, there's no denying really that the pandemic accelerated projects and plans faster than ever we could have imagined in the past. And there's some research from BCG showing that digital transformation, unsurprisingly, increased in 2020 with 83% of companies planning to accelerate their efforts this year, and 65% expecting to increase the amount they're investing as well, despite the economic downturn, just to, I suppose, like we're talking about today, plan ahead for the future and sort of meet ever-changing and evolving customer and consumer demands, I suppose. And that's obviously true for the housing space as well. You all had to sort of continue to operate as normal throughout the pandemic, and that's kind of changed normal operating procedures, day to day thereafter as well, I suppose. So it's an interesting one. But in terms of your sector specifically, the housing space, so for many of housing associations, the pandemic really sort of forced that rethink on how to engage with tenants, really, and projects which are almost seemed low priority potentially suddenly found themselves right at the top of the list. Tenants that seemed unreachable by digital means were connected, and then I suppose whilst many organisations have plans and processes in place, the past year has really sort of forced that into action, really. We work with an association who we know was talking about mobilising their workforce over a 6 to 12 month period. And yeah, upon lockdown one happened, they actually managed to get through that in 3 to 4 weeks. So just sort of goes to show, really. I suppose after overcoming the momentous challenges of the past year, HAs now need to move forward from reacting to the crisis now to sort of building upon the rapid progress made so far. In terms of how do you keep that momentum going? Digital has become channel of choice for many. I suppose the question is, are your services ready to sort of handle that channel shift ongoing, or is it very much a case of putting things in place to sort of cope with the here and now and sort of focus on the sort of the future and sort of planning ahead afterwards? I think part of this, and an interesting part of this, is 5G and smart homes generally. So whilst 5G itself is almost 100 times faster than 4G, the enhanced speed and power of that doesn't just mean that we don't have to wait for videos and things to load on YouTube as long. It means that every sort of phase of internet connectivity unlocks new potential, and 5G is no different to that. That's certainly part of that trend, and it really enables all of the other technologies to progress in effect. So it's expected to accelerate the shift towards the fourth industrial revolution that's being put, which ties into the whole Internet of Things sort of movement, if you like, something which we know social housing providers have sort of long preempted as being quite a big deal, and how to deal with customers digitally and how customers can interact with their landlord around things such as like optimizing energy usage and reducing carbon footprint of homes and these sorts of things. And we all know that smart homes, on the face of it, can save money and reduce cost of ownership for affordable housing, but one of the biggest blockers has always been network limitations, really, and 5G looks to help solve this problem in effect, as well as how to overcome different smart devices as well. So it can work on low power devices, provide seamless integration across different operating systems, and get them to talk to one another on a fully compatible smart home. So really that sort of Internet of Things sort of thinking, really, allowing homeowners to benefit from the holistic home solutions capable of saving energy and improving health standards. So if you sort of imagined if a block of flats were built from the ground up, like today, with digital first in mind, it would be completely connected for real-time monitoring around things like sensor networks and high-speed connectivity for temperature checks, for the sort of automated door locks, energy outputs and carbon monoxide levels, these sorts of things. And the possibilities with that sort of stuff really is quite endless. And all with the output of that being energy, operational efficiency, maintenance costs being saved that can be passed on to the homeowner in one way or another. I think an example of that would be something like connecting service meters to a central network, so the energy suppliers can observe energy usage and respond to those sort of fluctuations. So just to sort of give an example there. But this new network will also be able to do things like quickly detect gas leaks and things and send emergency calls automatically and these sorts of things. So there's some stats on the screen there just around that, but quite an interesting topic, I suppose, and be good to get some of your thoughts on that generally when we move into after the sort of slides, I suppose. And then another one to think about is AI generally. So in itself, obviously, isn't groundbreaking technology. It's sort of cropping up more and more and has been around for a few years, but it's definitely going to become an even more valuable tool the next few years as it matures and as the use cases become more apparent for these sorts of things. So when paired with machine learning, it can help us interpret sheer volumes of data to create more evolved automated solutions. Self-learning algorithms are able to identify connections and patterns that the human eye can't, for example, or at least at a faster, more reliable pace. Customer behavior itself has changed drastically as well. And you guys from the housing sector need to understand how in order to deliver the best possible experience, I suppose, both online and offline. We've already started implementing AI and machine learning ourselves at Proto with a couple of clients of ours. We've started using this to almost sort of harness technology to both help customers and the organization work a little bit smarter. So we're using the Hotjar platform. We've developed a visual repairs diagnostics tool to begin with, which we've trained machine learning models to correctly identify target issues to begin with, different boiler types, excuse me, with a near 100% degree of accuracy so far. So this benefits the customer because it's really, really simple. They can just get their phone out, take a picture of the boiler or another defect that we're sort of rolling out to soon, and it can diagnose that problem and sort of report that on their behalf. That's all they need to do. Just take a picture, upload it via the app. But it's great for the housing association as well because it not only sort of builds asset management data and they sort of start understanding what's in their properties, but it also presents a really consistent way of something being reported rather than someone calling, sort of describing something or maybe submitting a form with free text to describe things. It's the AI model has a set number of outcomes, so it will be X, Y, or Z, for example, each time. So it's easier to get these things right first time, basically. And then data-driven analytics as well is another one to think about for next year. And I'm assuming, obviously, you guys have sort of thought about this so far already, but all of these things we've spoken about so far in terms of like enhancements of technology and innovations can't really work without that clean, comprehensive and accurate data set. So unlocking the range of challenges for data and social housing isn't a simple or straightforward path. We've heard a hell of a lot, but the benefits of doing so really are sort of immeasurable, really. Access and understanding of customer data and behavior, as well as data behind physical buildings and platforms, will allow you to build real pictures around the current asset management, end-to-end processes and future developments as well. I suppose there's a hell of a lot of different tools and things out there to help with this. And when you think about the different layers of sort of data accuracy and sort of optimizing that, from our perspective, thinking about monitoring and tracking how customers engage with your web-based platforms, for example, something like Hotjar is an amazing tool, which you may or may not heard of. Some of you may be using this already. It can be really beneficial when paired with something like Google Analytics to give an extra layer really of analysis and insights. So we can do things like look at heat maps to understand which areas of the website or portal or chatbot or these sorts of things people are engaging with or clicking on, see how far they're scrolling down to see if they're really reaching those key calls to actions or key pieces of content that you need them to. And you can spot if they're not as well. So therefore make changes based upon that real sort of user data and behavior, I suppose. I think a good example of this was when we first launched a customer portal for Hightown Housing a few years ago. So we used this Hotjar and GA sort of combination to analyze the registration and login process, to monitor some page sessions and gain some really good insights into how we can sort of streamline the process. People were struggling to register based upon accessing and getting hold of the reference number that they needed. So Hightown therefore used that information to put a piece of content to right next to that sort of button to sort of talk people through where to get hold of that and how easy it is. And that had some great impact. So it's all about using that data to make ongoing informed decisions, I suppose. But yeah, I think generally, if you need any help on this aspect or anything we spoke about so far, more than happy to sort of open some dialogue and sort of discuss how I might want to help there. But yeah, that's just a few, handful of slides really around a few ideas in terms of things you could be potentially thinking about for next year. You might be thinking about these things already, but we know that this sort of time of year, depending upon when your budgets are being set and these sorts of things, it's quite an important time to sort of think about these things in terms of budget allocations and prioritization of projects, depending upon where you're up to with digital and what you're looking to do in terms of ambitions and challenges. So I suppose at this stage, it'd be good to get some thoughts from you guys who've joined today in terms of if you've sort of planned for any of the stuff that we've mentioned so far today already. Any thoughts that you want to share, or are you thinking about other things, or any particular learnings that you've taken from the past year or two that you might be sort of putting into next year's plans at all? What about you, Carol? I know you're relatively new to, sorry, didn't even live a sneeze there, relatively new to it in communities, but what's your plans thinking about next year at the moment?
Yeah, so sorry, I've got a bit of a cold. We have a new CEO.
Yeah.
Who started in February. So I think it's taken her until now to sort of get her head around how the organisation is working.
Yeah.
So she has just had signed off some new strategic priorities. So she's come in and looked at the strategic plan and wanted to make some changes. So they have already signed off like last week, I think. So they need to be rolled out internally. They are bringing the customer more to the, making the customer the priority that we want to look at. And I think from that, we can then start to say, we want to look at our website, look at our customer portal, and do all of those sort of things. So for us, it's kind of a long-term approach. We're only at the beginning of the journey. And as I was just saying earlier, website's still held by our IT team. So as a marketing team, we'd really like to get our hands on that. And I think from there, we could then start to look at some changes. But I think we need to internally start with these new strategic priorities and roll them out and see where we go from there.
Yeah. What would you say your goal is for next year as a marketing comms department? Is it I know you said that the IT sort of look after the website and things, and digital strategies coming from the new CEO and things. What would your goal be from your department's perspective out of interest?
So from a marketing point of view, we're trying to look at our customer engagement, right, and how we communicate and get all of our messages out to our 21,000 customers that we have, and what are the best ways of doing that. So we're looking at digital newsletter, just starting those things that we don't have already, and building those sort of foundations. So yeah, it is customer for us. We also have one person on the team doing internal comms, so that's kind of a priority for us as well as a team.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you mentioned the internet at the start. That's interesting.
Yeah, we've got SharePoint, but yeah, we just need to. It needs revamping.
Yeah. It's often one of the things that gets thought about last, isn't it, in terms of internal comms around internet and things. That's definitely not alone there.
No, and the new CEO is very big on everybody understanding what these priorities are and what they mean for their team and their department, and what do they mean for you as an individual working in communities. So I think it's cascading those down, and obviously the intranet would be a really good tool for that.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Is there anything you wanted to sort of add to that, Liz? I saw your comment come through around digital inclusion generally.
Yeah, so I read your shift, your book, and suddenly my head just went, oh my God, there's so much to do. And we started thinking, it's an interesting journey, but I started thinking about our website and okay, how do we make our website right? We revamped it so that it's okay.
Yeah.
But how do we look at the future for our website and what it could do? And then we started thinking, actually, it's not just the website; it's all digital things. So we're looking to do a bit of a workshop thing, which I may talk to you guys about sometime, around what's the art of the possible with digital, and where are we, and what's our plan. But then, as we're talking about it, we're just thinking, well, actually, we need to understand our customers how up. So we're planning an app and we've got a self-serve portal at the moment, but we're just revamping that. We're looking to kind of launch it a bit better in kind of April time. But it got me thinking, you know, actually we need to segment our customers, because we don't know how many of them are up for it, and our digital inclusion is quite an important thing. So a bit of work we need to be doing for the next 2 or 3 months before we get into that kind of the campaign to launch the app, is more around understanding our customers better and their digital inclusion, where they are, you know, how we can support them to get online, how we might do digital training, how we might need to provide kit or whatever it is. So that's it. So for me, we started thinking, oh, it's just about the app and the portal, and then it's just about the website. And actually what your book did was made me realize that actually it's you got to look at it holistically, and some of the examples in there were really, really helpful. So yeah, that's kind of where we are, and really starting to think about what could we use, what can we do now, what's next year, what's 2 years down the line, because I think we're probably a bit behind some other people in this.
Got you. Well, that's interesting. Thank you for that, and glad to hear the book was came in handy as well. What sort of segmentations would you be looking to get your customer data into, just to help you sort of plan ahead for ongoing campaigns or on digital solutions? Or
yeah, so we did a bit. We've done a bit of analysis of our customers to understand which ones of them are currently engaging with us online and digitally, and we've got a bit of that kind of innovation curve thing. You know, we've got the laggards, we've got the people that we know are never going to do it, and we've got the early adopters at the other end, and we kind of map them against that, and we've got a few personas. But that's kind of based on historical data. So it's by the data we have. So we know how many people are on the portal. We know how many people are you know, paying by direct debit. We know how many people, you know, are more kind of who have email addresses and all that kind of stuff. But what we haven't done is kind of gone out and asked them a bit more about their preferences. Okay. You know, what are what's their habits? You know, do they shop online? Would they feel comfortable using it? Do they bank online? Are they on Wi-Fi? Are they on you know, broadband? It's all those kind of things that we haven't got. So we've made some quite educated guesses about our current customers, so we can segment them, and then we know, so we can target them. So we spent the last kind of 6 months just targeting people with just letting them know that they can do stuff online. So it's been a really, you know, we've wrapped some vans, we've done some email letters, we've done some campaign things, just to let people know that they can actually get to and do quite a lot of stuff online, just to try and help our customer contact center. But once we segmented them a bit better, we can then draw out some more data if we did need to do anything, you know. So we're not obviously going to be targeting the early adopters and the people who are absolutely digitally enabled the same way as we might be trying to target some of our less able people or less willing people. That it's different. So it's really, we need to kind of have that understanding of our customers to be able to target our comms and the campaign to get them to download the app and to use it and to get online with us.
Absolutely, yeah. I think what you've just described there is something which everyone could sort of benefit from. We always like to sort of take learnings from organizations we're working with outside of the housing space into the space, and that's the methodology which we use for our sort of commercial based clients when we're talking about inbound marketing and sort of driving leads online. Even it's around personalizing your outreach as much as possible, so it really sort of talks to that particular person depending upon their own scenario and where they're up to in their potential journey as well. And I think that's certainly true for the housing space as well. And it all does come down to, you're absolutely right, around segmentation and the power of sort of knowing as much data as possible about those different groups of people, and then therefore how do you sort of personalize the approach for coaching these people into digital, which sort of speaks to them closest. So yeah, I totally agree with that. That's an interesting approach. Thank you for that, Liz. Any other thoughts from anyone else in terms of plans for next year or learnings from 2021 you might want to touch upon? You got anything you might want to add at all, Laura? I know you guys are looking at a few things at the moment.
Yeah, so kind of the focus for us for 2022 is mainly around our website. So we're working to build a new core website. We currently have 13 websites across the different brands that we have at Sanctuary, and we're condensing those down into, I think we're going to end up with 7 or 8. So we're creating one core website which will bring together housing, in a couple of the other smaller parts, and we're upgrading all of our systems as well, all of our web systems. So the focus at the moment is really getting this core website ready. So we're doing a lot of work with customers, with teams across the organisation to really get this right. We did want to have a customer portal, but we're just not quite there with the data internally yet and with the systems. So we're very much focusing on the new website to be a really good customer experience. We're looking at options such as chatbots and using kind of smart forms in the way how we can really route the inquiries that are coming through. And then on top of that, we've also rebranded the organisation this year, which is kind of a rolling out over an 18-month period. So that will kind of continue through 2022 as well.
Cool, great stuff. That's good to hear. So is the plan for that new website then just to, I suppose it opens a door for you, doesn't it? Getting the technology in place and consolidating things. So it's an area for you to direct people to with that customer experience, I suppose, in preparation. Is that in preparation for a potential customer portal at some point?
Yes, definitely. That is kind of our long-term plan, to get a portal set up. We have some work to do internally first about kind of different CRM systems and things, but we do definitely want to get there. But we needed to upgrade our websites early next year anyway, so it's one of those. We'll do that first, make sure everything's future-proofed, and then ready to move kind of the next step as soon as we can.
Great stuff. Sounds good. All the best with that. All the best. Anything else that anybody wanted to sort of touch upon today? I know we've used up half an hour's worth of time, like what feels like 5 minutes there, which is great. But if not, don't worry. Hopefully some of you took something away from like the ideas we put forward earlier on, or just some of the things that Carol, Liz and Laura were talking through a little bit earlier. So thank you for your contributions as well to that. But yeah, if there's nothing anyone else didn't want to add, unless you got anything you wanted to drop into the conversation at all, Chloe, not to pick on you. I know you're the only face left.
No, sorry, I've been up and down because I got a premiere, so I.
Oh no, don't worry.
Last couple of minutes.
Don't worry. Okay, great stuff. All right then, guys. Well, appreciate everyone taking the time to jump on today. Again, hopefully that was beneficial for some of you and you took something away from that. But we will be having another session in probably around 4 weeks or so, would you say, Meg?
Yeah, I think we're looking early to mid-November for the next one.
Cool. So we might have hopefully a client sort of case study to talk through on there, and in terms of guest speakers to sort of talk about. So we'll
just lining it up.
We'll get that all lined up, and we'll I'm sure you'll see some communications come out from us very soon on that one. But yeah, many thanks for taking the time to join today, and hopefully again that's beneficial. And yeah, we'll speak to you all again very soon. Have a great rest of the day, and have a good weekend when that arrives, and speak to you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.